Any people?
We're going live.
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
Woohoo!
Welcome to the October Q&A. As you guys start to join us, so you can drop questions over here in the comment section. I'm joining you today from the Atlanta Centurion Lounge. So for anyone that hasn't been here, this is the biggest
one.
It's so gorgeous. And it's also has this nice outdoor patio seating area that's like overlooking the runway. Yeah, this is the largest of the Centurion lounges. Excellent
really?
food. Yes, it's the largest one. Yeah, they brag about it at the desk every time I come in. We're the biggest.
They tell you, like, as you walk in, hey, we just want you to know.
Yeah, well, they always thank me for coming back, and I'm like, yeah, I love it here. And they're like, yep, we're the biggest one.
They've been
their claim to fame.
Yeah, yeah. Really,
I love it. Where are you headed off to, Julie?
I'm heading up to Cleveland. This is like a 36-hour trip. JGOOT way. I'm going to see my sister and my niece.
I was going to say, what's in Cleveland?
Yeah, my sister. I am Taylor Tomlinson. I don't know if you guys know that comedian, but like I
was going to say, is she a comedian? Okay. Yeah, I'm aware of her.
She's hilarious.
Although, you know, I always say, if it's big enough to have an airport, it's big enough to have three things: a cool hotel, an interesting restaurant, or it could be a cool hotel and an interesting restaurant, and at least one thing that the locals are proud of that are worth seeing.
Exactly.
So, enough for a weekend trip.
Yeah, I actually go to she lives in a place called Ravenna, like really small town in Ohio. And even Ravenna, I think, is worth visiting. Like there's some cool stuff there. Every place is. There's so much to do in the US.
There is. I mean, we kind of get a little, I don't know. I get a little travel snobby about people that don't travel, that don't seem interested in other countries. But we also have to remember our own country. Like, you could travel multiple weeks a year and still not see everything our own country has to offer, which is not the same in smaller countries that are more homogenous, you know, geographically. So I think there's a lot to be said about domestic travel.
Yep, exactly. Hey, if you're just coming in, welcome to the October Q&A. We're so happy to see you here. You can drop your questions in the comment section. We're here to help answer any questions you have or help you with any upcoming travels or anything that you're struggling with. So feel free to drop that in the comment section.
Bring it on. I dropped one over there. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can just go right under mine. So right in the live chat.
Yeah, there's 9 of you. We see 9 people here. So ask us a question.
We do have next month, our bonuses that are coming are going to be pretty exciting, especially heading into the holiday season, because we are curating some really beautiful lists for you. Travel stuff for all ages, all generations, because we're JGOOT family here. So you can look forward to that.
Oh, I think we've got some coming. Johnny just asked if she can ask 4 questions.
So, yeah,
perfect.
So bring them on. Johnny, we're here for you. Absolutely. So just drop your first one in. And while we're answering that, you can work on the others. So here we go. All right. Johnny's got us here. Can CSP points transfer to Southwest for the companion pass?
So it can transfer to fly for the companion pass. The points that you transfer in don't count as the points way to earn, but yes, points flights that you fly on Southwest do count for companion pass, right? Isn't that the answer?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. They'll transfer there perfectly. They don't add up towards that companion pass, like Katie said, but you can still use them there to fly on your companion pass. So, and that's coming up pretty soon. If you are a companion pass flyer, it's getting close to that time to start thinking about that and gearing up for the next year.
Yep. And Stephanie's got the hookup for JGOOT. She's going to be giving us a little rundown on that here in like 2 weeks, I think, the Monday live streams.
Yeah, our Monday live stream. Sweet. All right, Johnny's got another one for us. Thanks on the Southwest question. Are Rakuten subscribe and save get continual points?
Oh, that's a cool question, but no.
Great question.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Don't we wish?
That would be awesome if it was. That would be like recurring points. That would be great.
Just hit Rakuten every month. I would. Like, I get my cat litter from Chewy. I am a cat litter connoisseur. I know that sounds crazy, but cat litter is not all created equally, especially when you have a hairless cat. Just saying. I won't go into any more detail than that. But Chewy is who sells Cleo's cat litter. End of story. And I have to just purchase it when I run out. I can't put it on subscribe and save because that does not trigger it. That shopping trip closes out with Rakuten. So every time you make a purchase, that shopping trip closes out, which kind of leads to another little tip as far as Rakuten shopping trips. I had someone on an accountability call worried about the fact that their shopping trip didn't take, or, they didn't get the points they expected. Well, they had shopped, window shopped in the computer window, activated the shopping trip. I clicked on Rakuten, but then they navigated away, came back later. Those shopping trips are very time limited. So always, 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 when you're using Rakuten, double check to make sure your little purple R up in your toolbar is still blue. Okay. Sometimes if it's a big purchase, I will reactivate it just in case it times out while I'm putting in my credit card information, because you have to reactivate it every single time.
Yeah. I'm assuming the UG is that Johnny's not getting continual points and not your cat litter.
Right? Triple UG. I agree. But like I like to tell people, Rakuten is extremely, extremely valuable. It's extremely lucrative. Things that are lucrative are typically not easy anywhere in life. Would we agree? Like, unless you win the lottery, lucrative jobs, lucrative opportunities, it takes work, and we just gotta, opt in.
Yeah. Katie dropping some knowledge. I love that's more than family travel. That's life lessons right there.
Right?
I love it. All right, let's see. Johnny's on board. Exactly. $10 off for subscribe and save monthly, but only a one-time multiplier. When is the next JGOOT event or conference, not the cruise, for all Gooters, for all JGOOTers in Denver? Oh, Julie, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. I just want to make sure you guys aren't catching any of this background noise. So the cruise conference is incredibly popular. We are already in the works of talking about 2026. There is discussion of another cruise conference because that was wildly popular. However, we do have something in the works. I don't want to get in trouble for revealing too much here, but we do have something in the works for all JGOOTers, like nationwide, that's going to kind of start rolling out here in the next couple of months. We're going to be doing some pilot testing, and then it'll go from there. So that's like not very helpful information, but I hope that's enough to tease you and get you excited that we are thinking of you. There is stuff coming to get all of the JGOOT community together and hanging out. So yeah.
I love seeing Julie gatekeep herself, because usually Julie is the one gatekeeping us. Don't tell people this is not public yet, but she's gatekeeping herself. That's great.
That's why I left that for Julie. I really wanted to just sit and wait and see how Julie answered that.
That question was coming up, and we were both like,
I love it. You can see, I love this. You can see simultaneously the excitement and the restraint battling each other in Julie right now. So
right, because I want to spill all the beans, but yeah, I don't get in trouble either. So
bottom line is, we value the greater JGOOT community a lot. We know that community is a lot of what we offer to you guys. We feel it on these live streams. We feel it in the village. And just because you're not a member of the lounge doesn't mean we don't acknowledge that the JGOOT community is real. So I think we're going to be addressing that in a little more accessible way soon.
Yay. So stay tuned. Moral of the story. I love it.
I don't know why I think October in Texas is sweater weather. I'm literally wearing a cardigan just because it should be, and it just is not. Just is not.
Yeah, not so much. Same in Florida. Like I've got my AC running full blast right now. So, all right, last one from Johnny right now. Very cool. I'll watch for it. Last question. I presume there is a payment plan for the lounge and that it earns travel points on your Chase or Amex. So,
Anthony.
yeah, both of those are true. There is a payment option. That'd be a great conversation to have with one of our advisors. And so I'll drop the little link in the chat there. But if you speak with one of our advisors at jgoot.com/call, that's a pretty brief conversation, mostly just to learn a little bit about your travel goals and see if the lounge is even a fit for you, if it can be helpful. And then if it is, they'll kind of break down what that looks like, what the details are, so on and so forth. So there is that option. And then as far as travel points, I want to clarify, because I think Julie was shaking her head no as I'm saying yes. And I think we're saying two different things. So I want to make sure I say it right. It will earn points on your Chase or Amex card. We do not code as travel. Is that why you were shaking your head, Julie? Cool.
Correct.
All right. I'm like, why is Julie disagreeing with me right now?
No, you will get points. It's just we're a
Yep.
travel education company, not like a travel company. So you're not going to get, you're going to get like your everyday points, whatever that is.
Yep.
So if
whatever
you
your kind of catch-all card. Exactly. That would be the one to use. But even that's a super detailed part of the conversation that your advisor will help you with when you speak with them. So yeah, absolutely. Great question. Thanks for teeing that up for us, Johnny. So that Texas accent.
This is terrible because Johnny, I'm from Louisiana, but you're from NOLA. I'm from the Northwest Louisiana in Shreveport. So you people always accuse us of thinking we're Texans, but yeah, I don't even know how to respond to that.
I love it. Johnny, we were just in I guess your original neck of the woods. A bunch of us were hanging out in NOLA.
Yeah,
just a few weeks
our
ago.
lounge quarterly meetup was there. Had a great time.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, you lived in Bossier City. You must have been a military brat. Must have been in the military. We have a huge Air Force base in Bossier City, Louisiana. Or as people just reading that would say, Bossier.
Ooh, it sounds fancy that way. I mean, think about it. There's some branding there. Julie, as a marketer, Bossier sounds pretty nice. You could charge higher rent in Bossier.
I've had a lot of friends go through Barksdale. That's the Air Force base there. So never had the pleasure myself, but I really enjoyed NOLA when we were there recently.
Yeah, and the Cajun and Creole cooking, that was the highlight of going to New Orleans for me. My daughter has some food issues that we just discovered last year, and she is allergic to almost every ingredient in gumbo. And I'm like, oh, no. Terrible. So I ate a lot of gumbo when we were in NOLA. Next year she'll be in Hungary and I can go back to cooking normally. My husband's allergic to shrimp. When we first started dating, I was like, what do you mean you're allergic to shrimp? I don't know how to cook for you if I can't make seafood. Oh, crazy.
I love it. Well, we got Johnny's 4 questions. We know there's a few more of you out there, so feel free, drop your questions in the chat and we'll kind of talk through them, get you pointed in the right direction here.
Oh no, Johnny, I do live in Texas, unfortunately.
Oh,
I do.
Unfortunately.
Well, but yeah, the accent is solid Louisiana, but it's just sort of Northwest Louisiana. It's not as cool as your accent for sure. But I live right outside of Dallas.
Love it. You're in a good spot. Mira, one of our experts, hopped onto my checkpoint 1 in the lounge not too long ago as we were talking about trip alerts, and she shared Dallas is one of her favorite ones. She kind of spreads herself out and looks for deals out of New York on the East Coast, Dallas in the middle of the country, and LAX on the West Coast of the country.
If no one's asking a question, I'm just going to drop a little golden nugget here. Where I'm a little bit of crossover from cruises, but I found a really cool family deal for cruises that I'll just tell you guys about if you're on here.
Oh,
It's like a golden. It's nice, actually. A Rosa River Cruises does. They have a new family ship. This is a river cruise now, so it's going to be like going through the middle of the country, like in France or Germany or wherever this one is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a new ship, and they do free kids under 15 years old. So you can just pay for the 2 adults and then kids free and under. So we're going on like a Christmas Margaret's River cruise for a third of the price of other cruise lines because of that kid promotion deal. So it's A Rosa, and they do under 15 kids cruise free, and they have family suites. Really nice with like bunk beds and extra side beds and stuff. They're beautiful. Really beautiful. I'm excited to go.
Is it like one kid per paying adult, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's good. So you have to have the 2 paying adults in the room, but I think that some age, I think there's a certain age cutoff that under that's just free anyway, Anthony. So like you could probably pull this off. Like you can do
like not for nothing.
With the adults. Yeah.
Not that I'm off on a cruise anytime soon, but
but it's a river one. You're basically stationary because you're just going from like one port to the next, and then you stay there overnight. So like you could do this one,
and there's no way.
Ocean. Yeah, like
we went on when we were in NOLA. We did the Natchez,
Natchez,
the Mississippi River. Yeah. So as long as it stays in motion, that's the key for me. It's got to keep moving, and I'm usually okay. It's when it's just sitting out there and just rocking.
Have you ever tried the? And Denise, we do see your question. We'll let.
Yep. There's a couple of them there. We'll bring in.
But have you ever tried the relief bands, Anthony? It's it's an electronic. It's like a TENS unit that you strap onto your wrist.
Yep.
And it gives you a shock. It's a gentle shock. It's not painful. In fact, they say you shouldn't dial it up to where it is painful. Just it tingles, and it makes a dramatic difference for my daughter, who is very prone to motion sickness. They're not cheap, but we've had as good a luck, or actually, as good with the knockoffs on Amazon as with the real relief band. So there's very different ones. The other thing she's had a lot of good luck with, and it's crazy, are those water-filled motion glasses. I don't know if y'all have seen those.
I've seen those. I bought one.
Like tubing with colored liquid in it. So as you turn your head, somehow it lets your brain know the movement, and it affects your vestibular system. She can now read in the car, crochet in the car. She used to be deathly ill every time we'd even drive into Dallas for dinner.
Yep. Yeah. It's gotten worse as I've gotten older. It's motion in general. It's not just seasick anymore, but reading in the car, I can't do, or even if I sit in the back seat of the car. That's one of the reasons why I pretty much always drive, is sitting in the back seat. Gets tough. So cool. Some pro tips. We got a couple of questions that came in here. Here's the first one. Anytime we travel, my kids just want to go to playgrounds. Anyone have a good app or something for finding playgrounds?
Playgroundbuddy.com.
Like
Julie, are you heading off?
I got to jump off of here to catch a flight. I put the email link for Denise's question is in the comments. Okay. Bye.
Beautiful. See you, Julie.
So playgroundbuddy.com.
Okay.
It's a thing. I didn't know, so I Googled it, but it looks like it is a free app that helps people find playgrounds. And you can actually add playgrounds. So if you find one, you can contribute to the app. So it's editable in that way.
That's great.
And then I'm wondering if it is just domestic or if it is worldwide. I don't see that, but they have social media, so you could get on there. And also, and my daughter is 17 and she still loves playgrounds.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is Canadian. Yeah, it's Canadian. So I wonder if it works around the world. I don't know, but look into it. because
there's something to start playing with, and
you can
would
definitely
be a
play.
step in the right direction.
Also, it says Play Scout is an app as well, and it's in the App Store, and it covers the US and Canada. And there's another app called GoWhee, like Whee, WHEE. So I don't know if all of these are like, just domestic or what, but definitely I just kind of Googled app to find playgrounds, and I don't have any experience with these, but that's a great thing to know about.
Yeah.
Okay, and GoWhee, WHEE, GoWhee, is worldwide. So that would maybe a good option if you're a traveler. I think that would be a good option because it'll go with you wherever you go.
I love it. Where our kids are the same. We've got an 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a about to be 3-year-old. The 5-month-old doesn't do much playgrounding yet, but yeah, same thing. They love it. Anywhere we go, they're looking for an opportunity to hit a playground. And so we'll usually, I didn't know about all these cool apps that Katie just found, but we'll usually do one of two things. One, we just go exploring. I'll look for local parks on Google Maps or whatever the case is, and just start exploring. And we usually bring something where if there isn't a playground, we've still got stuff to do. They're still at the age where we can do football, frisbee, whatever the case is, and they love it. And so even if it's just a wide open space, we'll take advantage of that for a while.
Frisbee's very packable.
Yes.
Flat.
Yep.
I love the idea of bringing a Frisbee.
Yep.
Super great idea.
Yep. And I've just asked, I'll get mixed results because it depends on who's working, but I'll ask at the hotel sometimes, wherever we're staying, especially if you're at one of like a nicer Hyatt or whatever brand. If they have a concierge, they'll do a lot of that research for you too. They've got ideas, or they're willing to look into it for you. So either of those will be great. Sure. And then Denise asked about these travel savings cards. She got a travel savings card from JGOOT, and Julie dropped a response in the chat already, but I wanted to highlight this because it comes up a lot. There's an email that she put in there. So if you need help redeeming that Book VIP savings card, there's an email there that you can reach out to and get some help. And we've got some videos on it. Is it savings card? Is that the link there?
Savings card. JGOOT.com. Savings. I think it's savings.
Yep. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
I just grabbed the link. I'm going to drop it in the chat here as well. And those are some videos that Joel put together with kind of a walkthrough of how to use them. So you've got to JGOOT these and be persistent, be creative, and looking for the right opportunity to use them. So go in with that mindset.
They're not a gift card. It's not a gift card. It's not like, oh, it says $100 on it, I'm going to get $100 off the top of whatever I buy. That's not how they work. So I'm big about managing expectations. I can be happy in any situation if I just manage my expectations and know what to expect. So I encourage you to sort of manage expectations with those. You absolutely can get discounts. My biggest advice would be not to hold out for the very highest, best face value redemption on those cards, because then you'll get into this analysis paralysis thing. So, find one where you can get 10 or 15 or 20% off. And even if it's not the face value of the card, just use it, enjoy it. It's something you didn't have before, and just realize it is not a gift card. So if you can find something that works with your schedule, either that a hotel room, a rental car, an excursion, just use it and be glad for the little bit of savings, because every little bit counts.
You ain't kidding. Especially for those of us, obviously we're all family travelers here. And so everything we do is multiplied by the number of people we've got. So every bit of savings adds up.
Absolutely.
We're all about it. I love it. Well, what else? We know there's still several of you hanging out there, so feel free, drop in your questions. We'll get you pointed in the right direction here. So, Anthony, Katie, are you home? Oh,
What?
are you home right now?
I am.
Cool.
I'm home in Dallas. We are booked for getting to our home in Brazil mid-December.
Let's
So
go.
looking very forward to that. This has been a
Yeah.
crazy year of travel, so much travel that I have not been home to Brazil since I left last spring, which is the
Mm.
first time in years that I have not been home during the year.
Yeah.
So we're going to stay a good long while. We're trying to get my daughter's permanent residency so that we can go past the 90 days with her. Well, we'll get that handled and then get to see my son. One of the things I'm really proud of with my family travel journey is raising my kids to feel like citizens of the world and to not be
Mhm.
intimidated with other cultures, other languages, strange foods, places that don't look familiar, don't feel familiar.
Yeah.
Because we've traveled so much, they're very comfortable in those situations and they don't have this tightly held sense of what should be normal. And I think that really
Mm.
led my kiddo to being open to really cool experiences and led him to study in Budapest for the next 4 years.
I love that. Very cool.
He's getting
Very
an
cool.
amazing education. He's living in an
Yeah.
incredible city. He is going to school with kids from all over the world. Like his friends group probably has 4 different continents involved. So really, really exciting opportunity. And I really do credit it to the amount of travel that we've been able to do. So
Yeah.
whatever you can do to expand the horizons of those kiddos, it just makes for a better world, brings us
Yeah.
all together.
Well, and both the amount of travel and the attitude toward travel that you have and instill in them, and that I'm on the my kids are on the younger side of that spectrum, and so that we're working on instilling right now. But it's such a life changing experience. So I'm playing catch up. We didn't do any of that stuff. There was no JGOOT 40 something years ago here.
Right?
And so I'm playing catch up and frankly learning along with my kids. This spirit, this mindset of exploring and learning other cultures and both impacting and being impacted by those other
Absolutely.
cultures.
And I think that makes you a really valuable member of the team also, Anthony, is that your family is relatively new to travel. So you're able to like have a real definite before and after,
Mm, yeah,
like and watching your kids grow through the experiences you're giving them. So it's
yep,
very, very valuable. I think we all kind of have that in common.
yeah. Very much so. And for those of you who are just finding JGOOT, I think it's cool and be encouraged that we all started somewhere. We all had to start learning this from the ground up and made our mistakes and our errors and our frustrations and all of those things. This is just what happens when you persist through it and do it anyway, knowing that, well, I'm gonna get there. I'll take some bumps and bruises along the way, and we've definitely had those.
And not you've I think the a big thing with travel and with the JGOOT way in general, I think people get paralyzed mentally by trying to do it all right all the time. I see this a
Yeah,
lot. I don't know if you guys watching are aware, but my main role, or one of my 2 main roles with JGOOT, is I'm the accountability coach in the lounge. So when you're in the lounge, you get 30 minutes a month, one-on-one, face-to-face over Zoom with a coach,
yeah,
just to kind of discuss your progress, your goals, what you want to do, and what any kind of struggles that you're having to make sure you're getting the most out of the program. And the thing I hear over and over and over again is that people get stuck. They don't want to move forward because they don't know it all. They don't feel 100%. They're
yeah,
scared to redeem points because what if I mess it up? Or what if a better redemption is down the road? And it makes me think of this phrase in Portuguese that we say, which is feito é melhor que perfeito. It rhymes very well in Portuguese. It doesn't rhyme quite as well in English. But what it means is done is better than perfect.
Mm.
Feito, done, é melhor que perfeito. So if you're hanging on to perfection, very little gets done. So my advice to them and my advice to you is just try it. Just get out there and do it. Some of this stuff you're not going to learn or you're not going to feel comfortable with until you go out and do it. What do I do if my flight gets canceled? Well, go out and fly so much that you end up with a canceled flight and figure out how to fix it. It's like anything else in life. Exposure makes for competence. And we all learn through mistakes. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yep. Very well said. My very first, I shared a little bit about our very first JGOOT trip when I did the Monday live stream earlier this week. But our very first JGOOT style trip, the one where I took my son to Atlanta, I keep telling that story.
I love that story.
I still love it. It's the foundation of everything. But what I don't share as often is I made a big mistake on that trip because I booked the flight and I just assumed, well, of course I'm going to find a hotel. I didn't give the hotel a second thought. And then when I went to book my hotel, because I had my eye on one and just it never occurred to me because we didn't travel much a few years ago.
Right.
It never occurred to me that, the hotel would be booked up or anything. I just knew we were going to stay at this hotel, and I'll get to that when I get to it. And so when I ended up ready to book the hotel, number one, there was no points availability whatsoever.
How?
And number two, I found out they were hosting a conference, and the rate skyrocketed to $660 a night for just a basic standard room. And that was the hotel. And if I remember correctly, I'd have to look, but I think the only Hyatt, because that's where we were planning to stay, that was right in downtown Atlanta. And so now all of a sudden we've got a trip to Atlanta planned, non-refundable tickets, and nowhere to stay when we go. And so I'm scrambling, trying to figure out what are we going to do here, looking for backup hotels. Everything in downtown was booked up because, again, there's a big conference happening. We could stay outside of downtown, but I wasn't planning to rent a car. This was a cheap overnight trip. And so it just adds all of these layers. And it was incredibly stressful because I did exactly what everybody's worried about. I made a mistake. I didn't think everything through before I took the trip. And so a couple of things happened. I absolutely made a mistake. But with that said, we learned to get creative. Well, I'm taking the trip anyway. So what are we going to do? What are my options? And so we did a couple of things. One, I booked a refundable hotel stay somewhere just so we had something. So refundable, that way, if something does change, I've got options here. And then number two, I kept checking. This is far from guaranteed, but in a pinch, it has happened and can happen. I kept checking that Hyatt over and over again every single day. The price never went down, but as we got closer, they actually ended up opening up points availability again. And I ended up getting to book that hotel on points, 8,000 points for this hotel right in the middle of downtown Atlanta, and I canceled my refundable hotel. So it ended up working out for us. But if I'd have been waited until I had all my ducks in a row and figured everything out, we never would have taken that trip. We wouldn't be here now.
Right. There is actually a website that you guys may be interested in that will do exactly what Anthony's talking about for points availability at hotels. It's called maxmypoint.com. Not points, but point, I'm pretty sure. maxmypoint.com. It's a relatively cheap thing. It may be $7, $8 a month, maybe. And it will keep an eye out on hotels that don't have points availability and check every day for you and send you an email when that availability opens up. The same thing happened to me with, I had to stay at a particular hotel. It happened to be a Hyatt, which was great, but no points availability. It was a 7-day stay and it was going to be over $1,500 for a Hyatt place on the side of the interstate outside of Cincinnati. Okay. This was not like luxury. This was not like some great destination. No offense to my Cincinnati peeps, but it was just somewhere I had to be for an event for a week. And sure enough, I had booked it on cash. Of course, it was refundable, cancel, enough ahead of time. And after maybe 2 months of having that search up on Max My Point, I got an email and I was like, no way. Because I'd been checking every day also because I didn't trust Max My Point. So I was checking anyway. And there wasn't even any availability, let alone on points. Like there weren't any rooms available. So I got that email and I was like, is that true? Logged on to Hyatt. Absolutely it was. I got the entire stay for 35,000 points.
Let's go. Yep. And you will absolutely make those mistakes. The biggest thing to know is it's a learning opportunity, and there's not much that you'll do that you can't recover from in some way. You'll take some bumps, like I said before. Things won't go exactly as you plan, but there's nothing that you can't recover from and keep moving.
Absolutely. So. A lot of people get very anxious about the fact that all of us book travel one way.
Yeah.
It makes people very, very nervous. I hear that a lot in my coaching. How do you just book? Yesterday, I booked a trip to Morocco for my family, Dallas, layover in Paris, Marrakesh. I don't have any idea how or when we're coming home. I know we will, but people would say, that's just really stressful to me. How do you guys do it? Well, we've traveled enough now and we have enough tools in the toolbox to know that I'm not going to get stuck in Africa. There will be a way home. Might it be a little more expensive than what I wanted? Perhaps. Might it be a little out of the way or inconvenient? Also, perhaps. Would I be able to do this if I had a very rigid schedule with my work? Yeah, that'd be harder. But getting yourself out of pickles traveling is one of the things that JGOOT will make you good at. So, Johnny, with all of your travel school and your goody duty that you've been doing, you are going to love that. You are going.
I wish Julie was here. We got to tell her about Goody Duty. See if that could work into some marketing somewhere.
But you will find that you're just a more confident traveler. It's just like, what's something that I've done for the first time? Oh, heavy metal concert. I had not been to a heavy metal concert till I was 49 years old. And I was very intimidated by it. And I had a bunch of questions. And I kind of, was very anxious about it. And I'm not anxious about a lot. And then I realized it's just because it was unknown. So I crowdsourced, asked my friends. I said, how many of you guys have ever been to an Alice in Chains concert? Please tell me what to wear, what to expect. Do I need to, bring a weapon?
Bring a weapon.
Hey, I live in Texas. But it was a delightful experience. I had earplugs. I loved watching my son, who's an electric guitarist, just enjoy that music and appreciate the technical parts of it, even though it's not my vibe. And I think we're all like that about things we've never done before. So if you're kind of new to travel, especially maybe you traveled a whole lot back in the day, but now with kids, it's a whole different environment. Just realize a couple of things. You're going to have skills from studying the JGOOT way that are going to help get you out of tight situations. And then the other thing that I like to tell my kids, that I like to tell my coaching clients is wherever you go in the world is someone's home. So wherever you end up with your kids, someone else is raising kids there. They're taking them to the doctor, they're feeding them, they're clothing them, they're keeping them safe. They're, it may just be foreign and strange to us, but it's someone's normal. It's someone's every day. And to me, that just sort of alleviates a lot of worry, just knowing that this is someone's everyday option to get all the things of life done. And most of the places we go, because clearly we're not going to travel into war zones right now, but most of the places that we go are going to be accessible to some level of food, shelter, medical care, so worry less. Brooklyn Joe, I was at Alice in Chains Unplugged in 95. Hey, I thought some of the music was really quite good. So like I said, not my vibe, but I can appreciate it.
Yep.
Technically quite interesting and very, very impressive.
Yep. I have my first. I'll share this, and y'all feel free if there's any other questions, drop them in the chat here, or otherwise we'll wrap up pretty soon. But the trip that we just finished, I mentioned that we were in New Orleans earlier in our Q&A here, and that was the first flight. You talked about booking one way and the stress that goes with that and everything like that. It was my first time having to do that. Now, this is just domestic, so it makes it a little bit easier. But we ended up, we're supposed to be there for this meetup. And because of the hurricane, I'm in South Florida. Because of the hurricane, my flight got canceled. We had everything booked, everything ready to go. I paid $404 for my entire family of 6 to fly round trip to New Orleans. I was pumped. It's a good deal. We're all set. My flight got canceled. And first of all, I'm scrambling to figure out, well, can I even get there? Are there even flights available? But
Right.
now, as I'm looking, everything is $400 to $500 per person one way to get there now, no matter where I'm looking from. Because now it's last minute. There's a storm coming, so other people are trying to get out of here too. And so one of the things that we did, I kept looking, and I finally found a flight on Spirit that was, I forget, like $140 per person one way. So it was still going to be more than I paid. Like you referenced, it might be more than I want to spend if I'm stuck in a particular situation, but it was a whole lot better than anything I'd found. And I remembered a pro tip from our rule number 1 expert. You might know her. Her name's Katie. That Spirit, if you buy at the counter, you'll save a few more dollars off of their internet price.
Well, it's up to $36, $37, which is sometimes 50% of your fare.
Yep. And so when I found this, the flight left literally in like 4 hours. And so my poor wife, my poor kids, I'm like, hey, load up, because this is our one shot. We're out of here. And so we packed everything up and hit the road, drove down to the airport, and made it work, thankfully. But then same thing on the way back. I'm so focused on getting us there. I wasn't looking for a return flight yet. I've just got to get us out of here to get to where we're supposed to be. And so we had to do the same thing on the way back, look for a one-way trip. And we followed actually the same steps. This was less pressure because we had more wiggle room and that kind of thing. But searched online till I found what we wanted. And actually, in this case, found backups. I decided what day we were going to come back based on the fact that that particular day, there were 3 different flights that would all work for us. And so if the first one got booked up or the price went up or whatever the case is, I had 2 other options. And so we went to the airport, bought them at the counter again in order to fly on home. And even with that, I had a backup plan of points. That's part of why rule number 2 is so important. If I couldn't find a reasonable cash fare, I've got a backup stash of points that we can use to get us home. So make sure you're focused on that and building that stash, because that gives you more options. There was far less stress, even with a family of 6. We've got 4 kids running around with us. There's still far less stress because I know, even worst case scenario, I've got options some way or another.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
I love it. Well, I don't see any other questions in the chat here. Hopefully the questions that did come in are helpful, and hopefully some of our little travel tales inspire you and challenge you. Some of these nuggets will help y'all keep moving forward. I know Katie is working hard on our list. We're going to be talking about holiday travel and some must-haves for the holiday season next month. Is that right, Katie?
Yeah, so that will be your bonus content for the coming month. It's not going to be a typical slideshow type class, but it will be a shopping guide and then maybe a little bit of extra on earning multipliers as well.
Yep, very good. So that's coming next month. We do have one question. We'll take this one before we wrap up here. I've been struggling with trying to plan a trip for spring break. Haven't found any great flight deals. Is there any likelihood that prices will go down as time gets closer? I'm assuming we're looking cash deals here.
I'm assuming we're looking cash deals. And is it Brecca? I think maybe. Can you let us know if you're looking at a set destination? Because typically, even on spring break, if you open up destinations wide open, then you will be able to find something interesting price wise. But if you're looking on spring break to a set destination, especially a spring breaky type destination like skiing or beach, it's going to be tough. Not looking at a set destination, great.
Good,
so just
good.
keep using that explore feature. Find some areas with that explore feature that you can see maybe have a little bit lower prices, and set trip alerts for that city. For example, let's say you're noticing that Chicago has some cheap deals, maybe not the price you want to pay, but cheap deals for that week. Set a trip alert in Kayak or Google Flights to send you an email when that price goes down. Have you looked at some of the less child-friendly airports that might have child-friendly excursions? Like Las Vegas is a great jumping off point to do some national park stuff. Some of the airports in California can be a great jumping in part. Detroit can be a great jumping in spot for the Great Lakes. So think beyond the airport and the city that it lands in, and think a little further afield, and follow the breadcrumbs that you're getting now to watch the prices to see if they go down. Set those trip alerts sort of manually for some cities that are looking promising right now.
Yep. I like that. And if you haven't messed with dates, obviously your spring break is going to be a specific time frame. But within those dates, sometimes there are differences and opportunities as well. It might be worth, if it moves the needle enough, it can for us with, again, a family of 6, I'm buying a lot of tickets. If I go a day earlier, go a day later, it can move the needle quite a bit. It might be worth jumping out of school a day early, if that's an option for school, for work, that kind of thing. Yep. Or coming home a day late, or even vice versa. Well, hey, spring break starts this date, but we're actually going to leave the next day. We're going to do a staycation on the first day here before we actually head off on our trip, because it affects the prices that much. So it's all of those little factors that add up to be able to do it. So just saying, well, hey, maybe the prices will go down as I get closer, it's hard to depend on that. It is possible, but better still is going to be taking all of these little steps and finding something using flexibility that will get you something better. So Joe found Paris from Phoenix in March for $385.
That's awesome.
So
great deal.
Very nice.
Great
Good.
deal.
Hopefully that gives you some ideas. Look forward to let us know next month on our Q&A what you find and what you're working on. So I love it. Well, I think with that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. We talked about what's coming next month, and we'll send y'all out a newsletter on the 1st with updates with our next Q&A date, with the bonus content and everything like that. And so y'all keep writing down and bringing your questions to us. Just so you know, if you're watching this on replay right now, if you can't make the session live, that's okay. There's a solution for that. About 24 hours before we actually go live, you can come in and just put your questions in the chat and drop it there, and we'll still take it. We'll still answer it on the Q&A, so that way you can still ask questions and get help. Obviously, sometimes we have clarifying questions, so if you're not here, it's harder to get that info and give you the best possible advice. But we'll take all of those questions and work them in. So that YouTube link, the same YouTube link that you used to get here today, next month's link, you can click it 24 hours early and drop your questions, and we'll be here for you.
Anthony, we ought to drop that in the newsletter. Help me remember.
Yeah.
Because that would be great information for people that can't make I know it's hard to make your schedule align hours exactly. So
yep.
we'll put that in the newsletter as well to remind you.
Yep, that's a great idea. And we try to, you've seen probably, we try to rotate them around. This one's kind of during the day. We've done evening ones. No matter when we do it, there's somebody who can't make it. So we try to rotate them around as much as we can to be available to everyone. But that's something that is available to everyone. And we want to be here and answer your questions and celebrate your successes with you as well. So if you don't have a question, but you booked a great trip because of something you learned, let us know that as well.
We want to hear about it. We want to hear about it.
Awesome.
All right,
well,
guys.
we appreciate you guys. We'll look forward to seeing y'all next month.
Happy travels.
Bye-bye.